Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back from Leipzig, Germany in the DreamHack Open, the first DreamHack of the year and the first premier major event for Rocket League esports. And what a day it has been so far as the tone is being set for the entire year right now. Already a few upsets going on, specifically London Esports taking out Envy. We just saw that happen. All these teams fighting for that trophy you see on the stage and for $50,000 in prizing. Welcome back, everyone. My name is exceL here at the analyst desk. We're about halfway through the day so far, and it's time for the next wave to begin. I don't mean we have another commentator named Wave Punk. We have a second wave of matches incoming where we had our first half of groups going on, the first part of the day, and now we're moving into the second half of groups, and I wonder if we're going to see even more upsets occur. But guys, London Esports versus Envy, that's the big story up until this moment. A match where Envy won when they first met, but then London Esports pulling it back, winning in overtime. In overtime, if Envy had just scored, they'd be through to the next day.
Just put the ball in the net and you're through.
Yeah, they're through.
How hard could it be?
But London Esports coming back in a big way and winning a convincing Game 3. So what a day so far, guys.
And so far we have one victim of the day one. Like, we've seen some seeds kind of flip-flop, but top seeds have all made it through except for Envy. But these Wave 2 games have seeds 1 through 4, but that also means closer middle seeds. So we could see a lot more upsets of the lower seed, like the second seed in the group playing the third seed. So we should see a lot more exciting lower games. Maybe not as exciting as London and Envy, because that game was phenomenal, but should see some close ones. And we're starting off with a very close match, I feel like, with exceL and Juicy Kids.
Yeah, and this is also where you really get to see that EU depth we were talking about. Of course, the players back in wave number 1, solid players, but these are your rival series, your teams just outside of the RLCS and your teams just outside of rival series. So this is all of the really steep EU talent down here.
And looking at this group we have upcoming that we're about to focus on, exceL, the Juicy Kids, and Gale Force. Only 2 of these 3 teams can move on to tomorrow. And that's a pretty big deal because all these teams are stacked in my personal opinion. But let's talk about this matchup coming, exceL versus the Juicy Kids. Now the big story with exceL, Marky Duda is not on Flipside Tactics anymore. That was one of the big stories in the offseason, leaving Flipside Tactics, parting ways with Flipside Tactics, parting ways with Cooksier. That's one of the longest running duos we've seen in Rocket League esports. Cooksier and Marky Duda, not anymore. We saw Cooksier lead Flipside to a victory earlier today to bring them into day 2, and now we'll have to see if Marky Duda can do the same thing on this exceL roster that you see stocky on your screen.
But the Juicy Kids, they were in the promotion tournament, and they made a roster move, bringing in Jazer. I think a few fans have heard of Jazer, the biggest YouTube channel out of everyone for Rocket League. Basically, the face of Rocket League for the non-competitive side, but now he's trying to dip his toes back in. He was the sub for Flipside in Season 2. They wound up winning the World Championship. Maybe it was that Jazer luck. We'll see if Jazer can show off some of those moves that we've seen time and time again in his videos. But this team, don't count them out. It's a little strange because they didn't even play in the DreamHack qualifiers. Like, I wanted to see this roster. We haven't seen this roster at all.
They've done nothing
for this entire offseason, so that's very surprising to me. So they're completely unknown.
Have we seen it on anything on Jazer's YouTube? This team?
Probably highlights, but highlights.
Is that,
don't trust highlights.
Okay,
never trust highlights.
Jazer probably has more black and white goals than you possibly imagine. But it should be interesting because Jazer's kind of dabbled a little bit before in the competitive scene, like you said, sub for Flipside, but he's also tried to play competitively a little bit earlier than that. But I mean, this is I think this is probably his last go at it. If he does well here, then maybe he'll stick with it. But other than that, I think he's content to keep building that YouTube content.
And then on the other side, obviously, exceL.
Yeah.
They wanted to bring in leadership. There's no better leader than Marky Duda.
Right. He's
coming in from Flipside Tactics, the team that was just destroying the scene of all 2015 and all 2016. And people are saying it's kind of on the downhill trend right now, but this could be what Marky needs. Just a new team, a new energy to build back up and get ready for 2018. And he's joined by 2 solid players, Pondex, and of course Niels Cook, the Season 4 MVP for the RLCS. He's played phenomenally. He's carried this team to dominance in Europe, or at least they're in the conversation. They're in the conversation of being one of the best teams in Europe. And Marky Duda, he's coming over. That's a really big addition, and they haven't showed it so far throughout the offseason. Some middling results, nothing too great, but don't count these guys out because they're just getting warmed up.
And interesting, if I remember correctly, Jazer has been a sub for Flipside, right? So Jazer was a sub and actually played matches, I think, with both Marky and Cooksier. back when they were doing flip side. I think it's back season 3 or what have you. So interesting, a little bit of history there between these two teams. Marky now on exceL and exceL, of course, on this Juicy Kids roster. So a really stacked group here. exceL versus Juicy Kids. The winner of this match, again, will move on to play Gale Force Esports. And I can't wait to see what happens. I suppose we should just get into predictions at this point. Achieves, we'll start with you.
Ooh, I think I take the Juicy Kids on this one. I'm not sure exceL have really had a lot of time to get to know each other that well. Yes, Marky, Pondex, and nielscook are great players, but I think you come in here as Juicy Kids. I mean, you have a lot of fun. You got Jays to say, hey, let's go get them.
I have to go with exceL. I just haven't seen the Juicy Kids yet. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect from them. I expect exceL to at least show up here. Juicy Kids, maybe we'll see a few more guys, maybe. So maybe they'll win it. But I'm going to go exceL here, but I expect this to be a very close series and probably a rematch later on in the lower final. We'll see how Gale Force plays, but we might see this these two teams battle out again later today.
You called it. I'm looking at the chat right now. Lots of Moy guys in that chat. Lots of Jazer fans. So you know, I think we'll see a lot of acrobatics from Jazer, but I think exceL. I'm going to pick exceL on this one, and I think a lot of this has to do with nielscook as far as just how well he's been doing in RLCS, how much in Rocket League with the Rocket League team, if you have that solid foundation, your team's going to do really well, and I think nielscook does provide that foundation in a big way. But you know, Jazer has the ability to make these crazy plays. So who knows if he can get a crazy acrobatic goal, 1, 2, 3, that could really turn the tide and give the Juicy Kids a victory. So I think it's going to be very close, but I do give the edge to exceL, and I want to invite our commentators to provide their opinions as well. We're back with Shogun and Greg, and gentlemen, we got a juicy match in store for us. What are you guys thinking right now?
Juicy indeed. There is a lot of good players on that pitch, and I really don't know which one of them's going to shine. I should have said exceL there, shouldn't I?
Oh, we were so close to
so
so many puns. But you were talking about this is very different for Jazer. We actually took a look out the front of the stage where all the players have been hanging out. That's out there right now is not YouTube Jazer. That was stone cold, not paying attention to anyone talking to him. He was walking backward and forward. He was ready to play. That is a professional Jazer out there. Very different.
All right, I think regardless of what predictions we might have, it's certainly going to be a show in front of us right now. A lot of playmaking ability on both sides of the ball. Without any further ado, Greg and Shogun, take it away with his best of 3.
Thank you very much. And on the other side, you got Marky and co. We were speaking to them just before they were coming up on stage. It was about 2 or 3 games ago, and Marky was looking for pizza. And that's the difference between these teams. We've got the gamers and the serious Jazer on the other team.
And here's something we actually want to bring up is that me and Greg, and we both had the opportunity to cast exceL during the Gfinity Elite Series. Now, that actually involves them playing weekly LANs, and as good as exceL were in Season 4 of RLCS, they were kind of like the anti-LAN boys. They were incredibly poor throughout the entire season. Hopefully, Marky will be giving them something different here.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was something we wanted to see them do one week, just suddenly play well under LAN. We just never been able to see it. Perhaps this tournament is going to be that one. Like you said, Marky changing up the dynamic. But Pondex and Niels, both on their day, have some incredible performances. Niels is a great goal scorer. Pond, the typical Batmobile player. We'll see if he's playing that today. But in general, they've got to watch out because Juicy Kids have got a lot of talent. And as we get into this game, we'll be seeing how Juicy Kids and exceL, probably the closest game to call at this stage of DreamHack.
Absolutely. Let us start off Wave B with a bang as nielscook going to drag the ball the entire length of the pitch, or at least got halfway for immediately being challenged. Both of these teams having so many questions to answer throughout this tournament, and that is going to be a good first question for me to ask you, Gregan. Where was the defense?
That's a very good question. Killer number 7 hits at the length of the pitch, and Pondex passes it back down to killer number 7, which means there was not anyone ready in defense for exceL. Well, that's a nervy start for them, and killer number 7 did well. A strong, powerful touch out of defense shows his mechanics are on point to start with.
Oh, killer number 7 is a storied player throughout this entire time. In fact, he's been with teams with Stocky for almost as long as I remember. I believe they were together for Swarm. I can't remember the full roster for that, but
we're going way back.
We are going way towards the beginning of this game, but just how long they've been playing. Great 1-2. Jazer almost got there, but swatted out of the air. Juicy Kids, incredible good start for them. They've controlled the opening minutes so far. As now exceL might be able to find themselves a way out, but Marky Dudar just tapping it straight down. He's going to get away with it considering every single player from Juicy Kids was next to each other. Now 2 players committed. Opportunity for exceL to take advantage. Marky looking for the backboard, looking for the setup. Can't quite get it though because Stocky recovers in time, gets on that backboard, and saves what could have been a really difficult situation for this team.
I'm just looking at the toppers. We don't normally see many toppers in competitive Rocket League, but we've got one of the most obnoxious ones, the white foam hat, and then a cone. It's not even subtle one, so these players obviously having fun here at this event while Niels answers the question of whether he can still shoot and gets himself a goal top corner.
Yeah, great infield pass as well from Pondex. We've been talking about what difference Marky would make to this team, but the 2 original players on the Juicy Kids, I mean exceL, I should actually correct myself, coming together and putting a very nice team play. They've managed to equalize before there was any real pressure on the clock. So we're back to an even game. Those Juicy Kids will want to reinstate their lead as quickly as possible. Marky playing it away from a player that was never challenging him. Instead, ball now back with Juicy Kids. Options around, but a pass like that, never going to get through Niels Cook. Very awkward to play from the corners. You haven't exactly got many options, and all defenders know where the ball is coming from.
Yeah, and the general pace of the play in the corner is slower because the chances are it's going to hit a wall, which keeps it in a very similar location. So it's hard to get it away from those corners, and it's somewhere that players don't tend to overcommit to because they know that they're probably not going to come out the better if they all charge at the corner.
Jazer plays the ball up the wall, but Niels Cook has read it. Juicy Kids finding themselves on defense. No options to pass to, so exceL should be able to keep this offense going as Marky takes control. This pass was to a Niels Cook who was completely stationary. He had no opportunity to run onto the ball. The offense is not going to last very long. 2 players stuck next to each other. Flicking over the top. Open net. That should never work, as you said.
Oh, no.
But somehow it does.
No, don't do this to me. Don't hit the ball into your teammate who shouldn't be in front of you and take it past a player. And then to see the final player of exceL just charging blindly towards the ball, hoping they'll be able to block it. There was too much space for that dribble and allowed him to pop it over 2 players consecutively. And Juicy Kids do go back ahead with a very unorthodox play, which is what you'd expect from a team with Jazer in, but not in that style.
Unorthodox is the polite way to put it, Gregan. As Stocky unable to make contact with the ball, Jazer will get the clear. Back over to Stocky, who hasn't got that many options. So Killer with the setup, looking for Jazer, who did commit. Now Stocky has to try and play this one smart. He's actually challenged it. I'm not too sure if I agree with that one, but Killer back in time. Juicy Kids find themselves back on offense. Now off the wall, Jazer unable to make contact. They are trading possession back and forth, but as long as no goals go in, then the Juicy Kids will be more than happy enough with that.
Yeah, I've noticed, we were talking about the highlight plays not being a great way to represent a team, but in general, this Juicy Kids team like to do multiple passes in a single play, find each other out multiple times, create space with controlled touches. And we've seen that so far. They are looking to hit it to each other, especially in defense, and it's working effectively for them as 2 commit to that, not making a goal. And
absolutely, they can now go on the counter-attack. Niels Cook taking out 1 player, but he did get bumped. Slows down the play just enough that Juicy Kids can rotate back. And as you mentioned, 2 players used yet again to make the play just confusing enough that Juicy Kids can clear their lines and be completely safe as we head into our final minute. Jazer looking out, once again, passing play over to Stocky. Stocky still got the ball. Tries to take it over the top. I mean, more time-wasting plays now coming in for the Juicy Kids. The more time they can keep that ball in the air, the safer they will be, as long as they do not double commit.
Yeah, lots of resources used when you play a high game, and it makes it tougher for you to get those easy goals because you're constantly looking for boost, constantly looking for the ball and not knowing where anyone is, because when you're up in the air, you can't see much. So very smart, keep it a high game at this point.
As well as exceL getting increasingly more desperate. They're more likely to go for something that they really shouldn't. But they have got the offense. Marky, once again, putting the ball straight down. Jazer could potentially have got more on that, but I think he thought a challenge was coming in sooner than it was. Attempted clears come through. exceL just need to find a way to break, but Niels Cook's poor touch will just add to the list of problems. But the biggest problem for them is that they have lost game 1. The Juicy Kids are 1 game up.
this is going to be tough for exceL because losing this game puts them in a horrible situation where they either play against the team that beat them, Juicy Kids, or Gale Force, neither of which you want to see. And so that's why this group is so tough for them. But right now, exceL need to play better. They have been given a higher seed than Juicy Kids for a reason, because they're in the RLCS. They've got a lot of LAN experience with Gfinity. Marky is obviously a veteran player. He knows how to play this game. But right now, they didn't look like the team that is seeded higher. It just wasn't apparent in their playstyle. This
is one of the toughest groups we have today. And Gregan, do you want to know what your reward is if you beat this group, if you win?
What's
your
reward?
You get Fnatic and Team Secret tomorrow.
Wow.
That's, yeah, well done you. Congratulations.
I mean, this whole tournament is stacked. We've mentioned it multiple times. Not only are those top 16 teams who we see in RLCS and the Rival Series all appearing here at this event, but there's also those scary bubble teams. And I would say Juicy Kids almost came into this falling under that bracket, even though all three of those players are of such high caliber. They should not be underestimated because they are all very talented.
Juicy Kids has always been a team that you hear that someone's lost them and you just nod your head and just say, yeah, I could imagine that.
Yeah.
That probably happened. Marky, well, that was quick.
That was very quick. It almost felt like there was no players on the pitch after that kickoff, as Stocky did something I don't even know. I was going to try and describe it, but he went for boost and then stayed by the boost pad. I think he jumped, and that left a lot of space for Marky, who gets that early goal.
Right, well, we're going to try starting this game yet again. Now exceL with a 1-goal lead. Going to have control 3 seconds into the match. Jazer just cuts the ball out as Killer will now control on his team's back wall. One thing I have noticed from exceL is they've been very direct, whilst Juicy Kids have been happy to just play around. Seems like exceL are going more for a challenging style, where they just want the ball to be between them and a player on Juicy Kids and just to win. Get that challenge through, take another player out, and eventually score a goal on an open net.
Yeah, they do like to send it forward rather than, as you said, backwards, sideways. Wherever your teammates are is the Juicy Kids way.
Just think between where the ball is right now and where the goal is, and just draw a straight line. That's roughly the direction they're probably going to go.
I wonder if that's a dynamic that was there before. I can't remember it being particularly like that, but I mean, replacing Zenzus with Marky. Marky has always been someone to just boom the ball towards the net and wait for that chance to arise. The classic Marky goal is one where he has to do very little. So we'll see how the dynamic of this exceL team changes, not only today, but obviously we're going to see this team in the future.
Absolutely. Niels Cook has time with the ball. Actually leaves it for Marky, who can't get much done because Jazer has it red. Those two former Flipside Tactics teammates.
Oh, what a touch.
As Marky pulls the ball out to the side. No contact as well from the defender. And Niels Cook, one of the top shooters in Europe, will finish off the shot.
Just look at that first touch. Marky taking the mid boost, drifting on the spot and getting a little pop-up to himself, which he could follow up. And it did look like it was going in for a brief moment, which is what I think the keeper thought as well. So they rushed to try and save it, but it set up the middle as Marky, the famous fake kickoff man from Flipside back in the day, has obviously integrated that here.
It's really backfired on them, though, to start off this, as they find themselves on defense and almost found themselves losing out on one of their goal leads. Now the follow-up shot off the crossbar. Follow from Niels Cook. Doesn't go to the side, but everyone's committed and off the woodwork yet again. If anyone could just hit the target, it would have been a 3-goal lead, and exceL could have almost been above and beyond the hill. Now Pwned can't quite get there in time as Killer with the block. Jazer looking at the back ball, but that should be dealt with by Niels Cook. And it is another shot. That should be saved, but off the crossbar. That actually might work out better for Marky. Actually, it was Niels Cook that was in the goal, as he was able to reset himself much quicker because of it.
Yeah, we are seeing exceL on the back foot now. They're low on boost and they're all very close to the ball, which does mean those double commits are more likely. You want to get that defensive rotation sorted when you're up against a team that fires shot after shot.
Killer really did not like Marky there. He followed him the entire length of the pitch, determined to bump or demo him.
So I want to see, as this game progresses...
Oh, what a Stocky! Shuts the door and does not allow the goal to go through. Absolutely crucial for Juicy Kids. This game has gone so far against them, but they still have 2 minutes to get at least something back. Killer into the corner. Doesn't really look like too much can really come from this opportunity. So Gregan, going to go back to the point you were trying to make before you were cut off by a ludicrous save.
Yeah, so these two teams have both made a roster change recently, and they were amongst the top 10 in Europe throughout RLCS and the Rival Series. I want to see how that changes the way the team plays, because Jazer is obviously a very different player to Heavy, or I think it was Frag who was in there, and then you've got a very different playstyle out of Marky replacing Zenzus. And we've known in the past when a team changes one player out, it might unlock another player. So I want to see whether we're going to see more out of Niels and Pone, knowing that they've got Marky with them, who, when he was on Flipside in his last stint, he tended to be that third-man rotator. So I definitely want to see how their playstyles form with these new rosters. Ponex
doing a decent amount of damage over in the corner. Gives the ball for Niels Cook, who wants to try and force something, but once again, it's the corner. Players know where the ball is going to come from and what you're aiming to do. Even more difficult is to actually flick it out to somewhere in the midfield for a teammate to follow on. But exceL is the team with the lead. They are the team that does not need to do anything except not concede twice. Ponex looking for the corner. And Marky, dude, a lovely pinch from him will send the ball flying back down to the blue end. And with 30 seconds remaining, Juicy Kids' job is being made more and more difficult by the second.
Yeah, they've got to be able to create 2 goals in very quick succession, which is tough at the best of times, let alone against a team of exceL's ability. And at the moment, it's in control of exceL, so it's going to make it even tougher. We're going to be going to a Game 3 if this doesn't change.
Absolutely. This was going to be one of the toughest games we saw all day. This was going to be one of the closest games we saw all day, and it is living up to every single bit of that billing. Jazer got one touch, can't get there again. Pones does not like any of that flippy stuff.
That's why that works when he does that in unranked games, because no one can fly that high. But in this situation, obviously defenders are more than capable of reading Jazer's Moi plays, as we do see the victory going to exceL. Phenomenal defense that game, and they did get those few chances they needed to take the victory. So we are going to Game 3 as we expected. This was always going to be close.
Both teams taking very good individual wins for themselves, where they just seemed like they were mostly in control. What changed for you, though, when you were watching exceL that time around? Because that was a much more clean display.
I mean, Marky's goal where he took, well, the setup he did where he took that touch, that was a moment of brilliance that any of these players in this game could do. So I want to see more of that from the Juicy Kids, because this game they look very quiet in their offense. They weren't looking to pass to each other as much as they were in the first game. So I definitely think the offensive style of exceL was just that little bit more dangerous, whilst also maintaining strong defense.
And when you look at the actual playstyle matchup between exceL and Juicy Kids playstyle requires a lot of boost just to get one play off. Even if you can't really score off that one play, you get maybe 2 or 3 extra rebounds at maximum. If exceL can brute force their way over to the blue side and just steal 1, maybe even 2. In fact, they probably only need 1 boost out of that. Unless Juicy Kids' boost management after that is incredible, they can't go for it. So this is all going to come down to ball possession.
We're now into a final game between these two teams. They may face off against each other later if they both lose out, but 5 minutes to decide which of these two teams gets to go on and face Gale Force. I mean, doesn't sound like much of a prize, does it?
Absolutely. I would not be surprised if we do see these two teams again later on. But we have seen crazy upsets already happen today, and do not be surprised if we see even more of them, especially with best of 3 in play. Ponex try to go off the backboard, but once again, Juicy Kids have recognized that that is usually the way that exceL are approaching from. No real need to put anyone on the backboard, no real need to do anything really except for wait for the ball to come towards you. Another big clear from Niels Cook, just wants to see the ball away from the orange half. Marky, he's got options, goes for Niels Cook, who I feel like slightly overplayed that. Marky was definitely an option to play back to.
Yeah, I mean, it was a risky situation as well. As Jazer coming in and lands on that ball, sending it towards the net.
A huge misplay from exceL, but that does not take away from just how hard that corner is to read. And Jazer finishes it perfectly. That corner is evil, by the way.
And he knew
don't
exactly
like it.
where it was going. You could see from the moment he hit it into the corner, he didn't change direction at all. He set himself up for that shot from the moment he hit it. So Jayzer just showing what he can add to a team. Solo plays are so important in Rocket League because that can be the difference. As now we see another goal, killer number 7, coming in and getting 2 for Juicy Kids.
And exceL have just found themselves too loose. 2 players committed to the same ball. And then Pondex stuck in no man's land, no boost available to go up and try and challenge. You can actually see him thinking about shooting off to the right to pick himself up one of the large boost pads. But as soon as the double commit happened, exceL had no possible way of stopping the goal from going in. And we haven't even got 90 seconds into this match. exceL find themselves trailing by 2 goals, all of the work to do. This could be a possibility, but Stocky has already changed his name. He's done this a lot in his career. He's back to Stocky Machine. I wonder if this is like a power-up that you see in fighting games.
He should just stick with Stocky. It's a great name.
Stocky's a really good name. There's going to be a follow-up shot. If we said 2 goals was bad, 3 goals is even worse. exceL are crumbling in game 3, and stop me if you've heard this one, Gregan. It was a double commit.
Double commit, really?
Double commit.
I didn't see that one coming. I mean, Stocky obviously did because he gets himself a goal. In fact, all 3 of Juicy Kids have seen it because they've now got a goal apiece in this game. And with less than 2 minutes in, you mentioned it last time, they're just scoring too quickly at the moment. And the longer this goes on, the tougher it gets for exceL because 3 goals is tough enough to come back from in any situation, let alone when time is ticking away like it is now.
Absolutely. The rate of 2-goal comebacks got significantly lower last season. 3-goal comebacks are almost unheard of in the RLCS, and these teams, also not, well, I mean, one of them definitely is in the RLCS, and the other one is RLRS, I mean, Rival Series. So this is going to be a difficult task for exceL.
I mean, just seeing there, Niels with very low boost was thinking about drifting, turning around and going for that ball when he had a teammate behind him. And I feel like that's a sign of lack of trust. These guys just need to expect someone to be rotating in behind them, and that way they don't end up committing to things they don't even need to worry about.
Seems like Niels, Cook, and Marky are currently trying to play as one player with 2 cards right now, stuck in the same position. We need to find a way of breaking this deadlock. This game has significantly slowed down since that 3rd goal went in. 2 minutes still remaining to play. Double commit this time from Juicy Kids. An opportunity now for exceL, but it has been covered very well by Stocky. And now both of his teammates are finally back, but that still could go in. There's Killer there in time. And exceL are just taking shots right now, pot shots at the very most. Nothing that's really going to endanger Juicy Kids. And the big problem right now is it's just, whilst exceL have got offensive pressure, it's nothing that dangerous, and it's still running down time.
The longer this goes on, the tougher it gets, but they were putting on pressure, running them low on boost, but they just didn't maintain it for long enough and create that one opportunity with a good pass and a solid shot. It just wasn't coming out, and now it's back to neutral gameplay where, as you said, time has just not been kind to them there. 2 minutes has popped by and I barely even noticed it just because nothing's happened. exceL have not been able to create a moment where you think they could have scored them.
There is going to be the 4th goal, probably the final nail in the coffin, and Jayzer is going to be the one to pick it up. It is a poor touch from Marky that is going to set him up for the goal, though.
Yeah, and Pondex in a situation where he had to think about pre-jumping, decided to pre-jump, and as soon as you're in that situation, you are relying on a little bit of luck and a little bit of hope. And that has been the case here for exceL. They've just not really had much control over the gameplay. It's been all Juicy Kids. As all 3 of them commit for that, Niels is gifted.
I mean, it looked pretty. It looked like everyone was in sync going for this.
It looked like some kind of dancing.
But yeah, apart from that, it's a goal, I suppose. We're going to need another one pretty much immediately off the kickoff if exceL are going to have any chance of making a comeback. Stocky immediately taking control. Here's Killer. Kind of surprised he didn't try and catch that on his left-hand side and just pull the ball inwards. Then again, if you're a 3-goal lead, 35 seconds remaining, I don't think you really worry quite as much. Niels able to get it past, but no one around. to follow up the shot. And with 20 seconds remaining, it's nearly... I mean, it was nearly already done 2 minutes ago. This one is just even more difficult as Killer. He made that hard, but no shot to go in.
I mean, once this game was fairly well decided, I think both teams probably felt like, well, this could just be round one. Later on, one of us is going to have to challenge Gale Force, which will be tough, and then they'll be facing off against each other again. And as we said, right now, this is a pretty even game. Later on, after playing Gale Force, that could make the team step up that has to play against Gale Force. So definitely the victory is useful. Juicy Kids are going to have a good challenge ahead of them as they go on now into the winners final of their group to take on Gale Force Esports, whilst exceL wait for them potentially, or Gale Force.
And me and you, Gregan, we still await a solid LAN performance
From exceL?
From exceL.
Yeah,
I don't want to. I honestly don't, because I see so much potential in this team. But right now, Juicy Kids was definitely the better team in Game 3. And exceL have got a lot of work to do, especially on, say it with me now, 1, 2, 3, double commits.
Rotation.
There we are. Okay, yeah, it's all good.
We were close.
I
But
mean,
I did just see there, watching Marky and Jazer at the end, hugging each other. They've got a history together. They've been to a lot of events together. I mean, just think back to when Flipside won RLCS Season 2. Jazer was there to celebrate it with them. They're incredibly close. And to have to play, it's almost like ELMP and Snasky earlier on. So much camaraderie, so many ex-teammates. It must be tough for them to knock each other out.
Absolutely. I mean, Jazer even shared the stage with him when he won his World Championship. But today, Juicy Kids come out on top. That might change later. They might not have to play later. Juicy Kids could take down Gale Force. But to break this one down, I'm going to hand it over to exeLTOS at the desk.
Thank you, Shogun and Greg, and a pretty nice match to start off the next wave of matches. The Juicy Kids actually coming out on top over exceL, going all the way to Game 3, and who would have thought it? It comes down to Jazer, pulling off some fancy moves. Chiefs would have thought it. Chiefs would have thunk it.
I know, man.
You're so smart.
I do what I can.
Like your predictions
That's
every time.
That's why I'm an expert.
Exactly, yeah, an expert. Like every time you're against us, you've been right so far.
I've been right so far. But
choosing the unknown. We haven't seen this team.
We
haven't seen this squad, and they showed up pretty big here. So I felt like Game 1 was the sloppy game that could have went either way. And then both teams won one of the games. So Juicy Kids, they came out on top of that Game 1, and that was the major difference here.
Well, Game number 2 for me, it was very, very weird seeing the Juicy Kids being all over each other. They ran into each other a lot on the midfield. They made a couple of really weird plays on defense. And I think Game 3, they just cleaned that up and said, okay, that's not going to happen anymore. And then they just blew them out.
But I feel like it was also, from Game 2, like you were talking about kind of the sloppy play from Juicy Kids. In Game 3, was kind of the same exact thing with exceL. They started to do all those mistakes that Juicy Kids did in Game number 2 that we didn't see from exceL in Game number 2. So it just seems like both these teams a little bit inconsistent right now. Yeah. And they got to find their way throughout this tournament.
You know, the Juicy Kids had to be feeling great. It's such a tough group to begin with, but they're moving on to the next round to face off against Gale Force Esports. That's going to be a huge test. But we have Jazer standing by, and now to do something fun here, Twitch chat. I see a lot of fans in the Twitch chat of Jazer. So I'm going to try to do something crazy. I'm trying to take one question from chat. I'm going to let y'all ask a question
all right,
first.
Good luck. Good luck.
So get your questions in the chat. I'm watching. I'm going to do it. It's going to work. I'm going to ask your question. But Jazer, congratulations.
Thank you.
Talk me through your preparation coming into this weekend and your expectations going up against exceL.
When we saw the bracket, it was kind of, not going to say disappointing, but it was pretty hard to see that bracket. But because of that, we could just like relax and not take any stress, to be honest. Like we could just like go as underdogs and just like overall like play as we can and just like do our best, and it worked in this game.
So Jazer, a lot of people are calling that we'll probably see a rematch, but you guys are about to play Gale Force, and they haven't had the greatest offseason. How do you feel? Like, are you guys confident going against Gale Force? Like maybe going for that upset potential here?
Of course, yeah, but I'm pretty like prepared to play against exceL again, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I can't blame you, but you guys looked pretty good in that game number 3. I mean, did you feel like it was just solid offense? Because in that game number 2, it felt like your team dropped a lot of passing opportunities. Did it feel like you were really hitting them in that game number 3, or was it just a few drop plays?
The second game was pretty sloppy at the start, and then after that game, I just said that let's just like reset now. Like we just need to start with fresh start, and we're gonna get this, and we did it.
All right, it's my turn to take a question from chat. It's going way too fast. It's a horrible idea. I think I saw a question, but I don't know who said it. I'm sorry. It was, what did you have for breakfast? There you go. Let us know.
One cookie.
One
That's
cookie.
A cookie. I'm
That's
so
it.
happy I asked that question. Thank you, whoever said it. I didn't see the chat's going way too fast.
All right,
Thank you for all
Jaser,
your
though,
questions.
before you leave, you have to give us one more, guys. Come on.
Moi guys, Jason here.
Yes.
There it is.
There it
All
is.
right.
Jaser, congratulations on your victory and good luck against Gale Force.
Thank you.
All right, that's Jaser from the Juicy Kids. What a performance from them. It's got to feel good going up against a top team like exceL. It was close, all the way to, with the distance, all the way to 3 games, but able to pull it out. Let's take a look at the highlights from that matchup as Jaser and the Juicy Kids advance on to play Gale Force.
So that game 1 was very close. Seemed like some sloppy play here or there. We see Niels Cook here, a great shot.
And a really good pass.
Yeah, it was like it seemed like when they passed here or there, but here's the play where it was like a lot of confusion there, and then just a slight touch by Stocky sets up a perfect shot. That's kind of the sloppy play that we saw in game number 1, and that was that difference maker. Game number 2, though, I felt like it was all Marky. Marky played really well. Like this drift pass was to himself really was great at first.
Yeah, and Stocky kind of got caught out a little bit in a weird spot. He tried to go and get it. Really good positioning, though, by Niels on that approach, trying to go all the way to the back post. And then Jaser, oh, man, way to go get this one to start off game number 3. The read off the corner, off the wheels, and into the lower right-hand side. That's the goal of the day so far.
And that's the perfect
I
way
just did that.
to start game number 3. That's what you want to see. Like 1 minute in, that's a great confidence boost after a miserable game number 2. So sometimes that's what it's all about. That first goal of a game could set a whole stage.
Really quick initial thoughts on Juicy Kids versus Gale Force. Very quick.
No.
All right,
I mean,
okay.
no.
Oh, it's not gonna happen?
Like Gale Force wins. Like,
Okay.
I agree. No.
Yeah,
just
no.
no.
All right, we'll see. There's a lot of Jaser fans. They probably disagree with you guys, but we're going to go to a break here. Coming up next, we got results from groups. First of all, Dignitas took out Rogue. So Rogue dropping down to the lower bracket, and our next match on the stream is going to be Dignitas against G2 esports. Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching DreamHack Open Rocket League live from Leipzig, Germany. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, it's G2 against Dignitas.